This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
Resident Evil is credited for defining the survival horror genre and is the influence of a lot of future games trying to capture what Capcom did in the late 90s. With Resident Evil 4, they strayed away from the fixed camera angles and linear gameplay towards a more action-based shooter experience with over-the-shoulder camera view, or as it's called, third person. They once again managed to revolutionize the survival horror genre and popularize the camera angle to this day, with hundreds of games implementing it afterwards. And exactly Resident Evil 4 was the first game in the series that I got to experience back in the day, and it stayed with me as one of my favorite games of all time, with its creepy and eerie atmosphere, along with its charming and funny characters.
Perfect. The big cheese. What?
It made for a perfect first game in the series for a lot of people. When I heard that they will be remaking Resident Evil 4, I was screaming with joy, since the first two remakes were very solid, even with some criticism from the Resident Evil 3 remake. So, I assumed that they will stick closely to the original concept of the game and make sure that one of their biggest hits, if not the biggest, is staying true to its design. Yet, I was worried that Capcom might completely miss the mark with it and just ruin an already pre-existing masterpiece, since a lot of people at the time were not sure if the game even needs a remake. And when the game released, I had to make an honest review or some sort of a video essay for my own sake, as Resident Evil 4 will always be the reason I'm such a big fan of horror and this universe, along with some other factors.
What the hell are you doing?
It's kinda bad though, man. Holy shit. As with the first two remakes, the shooting and movement is once again a big difference from the originals. Gone is the stationary shooting and clunky movements, in for a new, more active and responsive movement that shows how Leon is grown since the second game and is now a more experienced and trained agent. Though I'm missing some of the crazy kicks strong enough to pop a head or two, like in the original, you are now able to parry attacks, sneak around and assassinate targets. This all makes the overall experience way better than the original. Unfortunately, this also causes the game to feel somewhat less scary, although there are many moments where the Ganados will creep on you while you're doing something else. And get out of it! What the heck? Some enemies are way more dangerous in the original game, like in particular the chainsaw enemies that can pretty much one-shot you if they're close, but here you can parry the chainsaw, which kinda makes no sense, and it's definitely not gonna work in real life. Oh! Too many! What the fuck? That's not how... Okay, that's not how it works. The animals, like in the original, are still here, and they can hit back, like this cow that decided to randomly attack me and help the
That's very
Ganados.
bad. That's and the cow fucking attacks me. Fuck off, cow. Fuck off. Did you see that?
Gone are the somewhat random quick-time events or QTEs that were kinda just there to keep your tension even during the cutscenes. Every boss in the game is now improved both visually and gameplay-wise. Some unfortunately feel way easier than others, but I assume it will differ depending on your ammo and weapon of choice.
Was that it?
Each weapon in the game sounds and feels great, especially when you upgrade them, some of which I would end up saving the ammo for and just blast the harder enemies, making some of the sections feel easier than they should be. I played on PC, so with mouse and keyboard you can feel like you're this special agent going to a European village and clapping their cheeks in John Wick style. I assume it will be a little more difficult on controller, but from the input I got from a friend that played on PS5, it's fine since you have a little bit of aim assist. One section that is way harder now is... Wait, before I talk about it, we need to address the elephant in the room. Ashley is a big part of the game and is one of the issues a lot of players had back in the day. Previously, she would always get kidnapped, be insanely annoying, get stuck, block your way, scream every time something happens, so you would just end up hiding her somewhere. She's now always by your side. You can command her to stay close or move back to avoid getting hit. This is somewhat better as you now need to be more careful where you're going into clumps of enemies, as she can get hit, kidnapped, or even hit by you by accident, unlike the original where you would just hide her somewhere and let her out only once everything is clear. This brings us back to the catapult section. As she is forced to follow you non-stop, she will always get hit by something, causing you to go back and rescue her, proceeding to get hit yourself. This is one of the hardest places in my experience, only because she would always get stuck on something, or all the enemies would randomly rush towards her, making it harder for me to avoid getting hit by the catapults. I tried to make her hide, which ended up being the best option for me. Another thing is that if you sprint for a second, she would non-stop feel exhausted and breathe as she just ran for hours.
Nice. There's the moaning again. We literally just ran like 5 seconds.
Leon continues to be this cool and clever protagonist, ready to throw out comebacks at the first opportunity he sees. Unfortunately, some of the lines from the original that are now big pop culture references or memes are gone.
Los Illuminados. That's a mouthful.
Leon will now make a pun or comeback joke after finishing an enemy, though they were getting repeated after some point. But even if that's the case, Leon S. Kennedy is still recognizable and still the same handsome cop that we like. Lewis and his role as a supporting character is expanded and given more mystery from the first time you meet him. You'll be questioning his character at first, but by the end you'll appreciate him even more.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
Almost every character in the game is expanded on, since there were quite a lot of characters, though there are some things removed, like the calls you get from the villains taunting you or explaining their plan, as villains do.
So maybe you have 9 lives, but it doesn't matter now, Mr. Kennedy. I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
Say whatever you please. Die, you
Unfortunately, a feature I did not like is the charms you attach to your case that give you a random bonus. You can use a different case that will provide you some extra throughout your playthrough, and you can swap between them depending what you need at the time. Fortunately, you can swap between them only at save stations, so that was not too bad. I guess they added it for a bit of replayability, and it's not something that ruined my experience, it just felt unnecessary. The original had this ominous music that reminded you of Silent Hill, or making you worry about every house, corner and tree you see. The music in the remake is one made perfect for each section you're currently in, and at times I forgot I was dealing with this big mutated creature and would just end up jamming at the music while trying not to get hit.
Holy shit, the music's crazy!
At first, it will hit you with and then all of a sudden, you're getting hit with A big concern of mine was that they will not be able to make the environments or levels feel the same as the original, but Capcom managed to do it and even expand the lore behind them and make them look incredible. Once again, Capcom engine shows what it can do and surprises us with another graphically stunning game. The cinematics and cutscenes are beautiful, some character models are incredible. For example, Ada Wong, I have no idea how Capcom managed to make her hotter than the previous games, but yeah, they did. Especially funny are some of the crazy mods that fans made that are definitely questionable at times, but very much appreciated. With the remake, Capcom managed to capture the essence of the original and bring it back so more people will be able to experience this masterpiece of story and gameplay innovation. The Resident Evil 4 remake is by far the best remake of any game so far, in my opinion. To remake a game, you have to establish what made the game great in the first place. For this installment, it's the great array of characters, interactive gameplay, and combination of horror and action at the equal level. Since a lot of popular games are being remade or remastered each year, some successful, some not so much, it is vital that before remaking a game, companies ask themselves, is a remake needed? In some cases, it's simply not needed, but if you're going to remake a game, you need to make sure that what you're doing is just expanding the already beloved game or franchise, just like Resident Evil 4. So even if you played the original or the remake, you feel that you're still in the same world and experiencing the same feeling that the game had when it was just released. And the Resident Evil 4 Remake is doing just that, by staying true to its silhouette and feel from the original and only expanding on its already pre-existing story and lore. With this, I will be wrapping up this video in its final minutes. I truly believe that if you have not played the original, you'll be able to enjoy the same feeling I did back in the day with this successful remake. As for the rating, I would easily say this is a 10 out of 10, with some minor issues that are just nitpickings from my side. If you haven't played or have played the original, I can guarantee you that the Resident Evil 4 remake will not disappoint you and may even hook you to the Resident Evil universe, the same way it did me.